Episode number 74, Fit for Life Radio. Your hosts, Gary.
And Will.
We're here.
We're live.
We are back with a fresh episode. We missed last week. We posted up a retread.
We did a podcast, but
Yeah, it was...
the computer ate the podcast.
We filmed a podcast, recorded a podcast, and it just didn't save.
Nah.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was a good one. We'll do it again, but I'm just not ready yet to Yeah,
because then what will happen is, it comes natural and natural
yeah.
funny moments and normal things you say.
And then it's just forced.
When you try to do it again, you're going to force it.
Yeah, you're thinking, all right, well, what did I say last time? And it's just not going to be good.
But today, we're excited for today's.
Today's fresh.
We're going to talk about a common, I think it's almost entering it's somewhat of a new fad. If I'm just gauging the Instagram gauge.
Yeah, I think it's starting to become more. I mean, it's kind of been around for a while, but.
Which is intuitive eating. So you see a lot of people saying you need to intuitive eat. It's almost probably like the opposite of what's been popular with tracking calories and logging and things like that. So I get where it's coming from, in every so many years, that's what happens, right? Like with anything. Think about it when we were coming up, when we were kids, baggy clothes were popular, and now
tight
clothes were popular, and it's whatever my parents probably liked, I'm gonna do the opposite, right? So now you have all these coaches and people who are like, I shouldn't have to pay attention to this stuff. My body tells me everything.
Yeah, you should be able to gauge your own hunger and control all of that and respond and.
And hey, you know what? And y'all are gonna bash your heads on your dashboard or desk, wherever you're listening at, because you heard us say this a million times. Yeah, intuitive eating should be all we need,
right? It absolutely should be.
If our environment aligned with how we've evolved, the reason we are the way we are.
Because most people intuitively eat these days, right? They don't track anything. They just go with whatever their brain tells them to do or their body.
Yeah.
And look where we're at.
Obese. More than half the country overweight or obese. And everyone's intuitive eating, right? And yes, of course, 200 years ago and beyond, 100 years ago, people were intuitive eating. They didn't have issues, but the food environment was way different. That's the biggest thing. Yes, tracking calories. Yes, keeping a food journal. Yes, doing these things can be a pain, but you have to understand they work and they're probably ideal, especially in the beginning, because it combats our current food environment. Now, unless you can completely go live in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, go live on a farm somewhere. You're going to be great.
Only have Whole Foods. Yeah, then you'll be fine. But if you find yourself in social situations and grocery shopping and you're
living in a city where there's fast food everywhere.
Yeah, or having a cell phone with Uber Eats.
Yep. Oof. Have you ever used Uber Eats?
Nah, man.
Me neither.
Cheap for that.
Yeah, same. It's I can't pay someone that much money to bring me food that I don't.
And then you see on both. Now we're going to get into economics episode.
That's fine.
On both levels, it hurts almost both people. The delivery people get underpaid.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're taking jobs for $3 a delivery. That's barely going to cover gas.
Yep.
And then it takes a big percentage out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Right? And let's do a third thing. You yourself, it hurts because you're enforcing the habit of not even standing up.
Yeah.
Right?
And just paying a crap ton of money for.
Yeah. So
what's not that good,
there's nothing good from it. So intuitive eating. Now it can work, which we're going to get into, but you have to earn it. It's probably the highest level of skill.
Yeah.
Right? So some people may be able to just start there and be fine. If you're kind of a Spartan, I'm going to go hardcore and do only this, then it will work, or it may work for a short time. But then the other problem is if it's new and you just kind of go Spartan and only eat, broccoli and lettuce, and lose weight, it's hard for you to connect the dots. You may, I just did it because I only ate these foods. When the reality is you got in a calorie deficit, but you don't really know how big it was. It's hard for you to stay on. You don't even actually know the details of why it worked.
Yeah, you did it and you got lucky and it worked, basically.
Because you have no data. And, again, it normally doesn't last. That's why we're even having this conversation, because people can't stick with stuff like that.
Yep.
Dieting is hard. So this is where, so now we've established really the food environment's the problem with intuitive eating is, everyone is intuitive eating, and in the current food environment of cheap, highly processed foods, we're overeating.
Yeah.
So we are listening to ourselves, and our body right now, it always tells us, our mind, we want the most calorie-dense things. And this is because we evolved with not always having food available. So our body wanted to be able to keep us alive. So, hey, when you do find something, we want the calories. And also storing body fat is efficient, right? Because it helps us have calories for the future to prevent starvation if we didn't have food. But now our current environment is we never even go a day without food.
Never go a couple hours without food.
And highly
palatable.
Again, remember, these foods are engineered to taste better. Like, yes.
And make you want more.
We can give you an apple. Hey, just that apple, it tastes good. But then if you have Apple Jolly Rancher,
Appy Jolly Rancher.
out there eating them Appy Jolly Ranchers.
And Appy Pie.
Remember, it's then a fake apple flavor that literally someone sat in a lab and tweaked it. They tried it once. Ooh, this can taste better. They tried it again. Ooh, this is pretty good. Ooh, no, this is it. This makes me never want to stop. So that's what we're battling against. Yes, your brain, your intuitive eating is eating foods engineered to tell your brain, I want more.
Yep.
So if you are intuitively eating, you're going to intuitively want more.
Yeah, so you're essentially like getting hijacked by your environment and those highly palatable foods to want that rather than what, if you're in the middle of nowhere, your intuitive eating is going to be a lot different. You're like, damn, I just need some protein to survive and some fat. Like, that's it.
So with that said, for the intuitive eating approach to work, you need to eat like whole foods only.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to balance and help positively impact hunger, energy, cravings, things like that. The problem is that's a very hard first step for a lot of people because your food environment's also your house, it's your job, it's your drive. It's your social media.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to do that and not go back, right?
Yeah, it's a complete flip, which we know how, things like that usually last for people.
So this is where like calories, food journaling, macros.
Yeah, like you have to track to kind of see where you're at. Like if you have no idea of, what works or how much food to eat, then you're never going to be able to intuitively eat and know, how to change that too. Because if you're intuitively eating, it also means that you may want to gain or lose weight, and you have to know how to do that when you're, intuitively eating. That's hard.
And when you're tracking, so getting as much information as possible, you're learning. So say tracking your body weight, tracking your calories. Now you'll see, when you're losing weight, and you'll see how many calories you're eating. So you'll know, I'm eating 1,500 calories. I'm losing 1 pound to 2 pounds a week. You do that for a month, and then you're going to start, you're going to feel those hunger pains, whatever you want to call them. So, but then you're able to connect. Oh, this is real hunger. This isn't just emotional entertainment, boredom hunger. So now that's knowledge that you have. To where down the road, if you do not want to have to track, you will know the difference of what it feels like to be in a calorie deficit and that kind of hunger. And you also kind of have an idea for like what your meals look like and what you have to say no to. That's the powerful information that you kind of have to earn.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And in doing it intuitively, most of us just aren't going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And tracking is kind of the foundation that you build so that you can intuitively eat with all that knowledge and data and experience and all of your, the way you may have changed your environments while you're tracking is going to help you, intuitively eat later on.
Yep. And just to know foods, right? A lot of people
no clue.
Those of you listening probably know caloric beverages are calories, right? 400 calories of a drink is the same as 400 calories of food. But there's a lot of people who don't know that. Mm-hmm. Like you tell them and it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, they're like, damn.
I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
It's not a meal. How can that be calories, right? So when you track, you learn those things. Yeah, you go to plug in juice, right? And you're like, oh my goodness, this is 600 calories, right?
Yep.
So you have to learn those things. Otherwise, intuitively, it's sugary goodness. You drink it. You want more. It has
And
a
in
little
your
bit.
head, like, it doesn't really matter because you're not eating any
Mhm.
food.
So you just have it. You need to learn those things. So that is, one of the main issues with trying to intuitively eat. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it spurs from people will struggle with tracking and journaling, and they just want to avoid it. So it's
Mhm.
like, well, yeah, this approach sounds easier
Because I don't have to track anything or acknowledge
yeah,
anything.
and I don't have to face kind of my demons,
Yeah.
right? So one thing we notice when people do track is, oh, they track the good days. Say their goal is 1,600 calories. I mean, well, you can pull up the log; they're nailing it, but you never see
The bad
if
days.
they have a 2,000 calorie day, a 3,000 calorie day. People rarely record it. When
Yeah.
those are the days you need to record the
Because
most.
it doesn't feel good, or
Hmm.
you're a failure in your own mind. Whereas if you just record it, you'll be like, oh, okay.
Hmm.
Like, now I know I probably shouldn't do that, but it's easier to move forward because you kind of faced it already and
Yeah.
are
And
using it as data and, a lesson learner.
And the comfort of quote unquote intuitive eating is you can say, because what happens a lot of times, oh, I needed that because I was sad or I was stressed, and that's what my body was telling me. You must, you need these calories. But that's the reality is, no, you actually didn't.
You didn't.
Your mental cues got in the way. Now, intuitively, you could tell yourself that was the right thing to do. But again, if your goal is like, I want to lose weight, and you're, 30 pounds overweight, with body fat, yeah,
Hmm.
you have to remember that is stored energy. Those are stored calories. So being in calorie deficit is not that stressful or bad on your body because it literally has plenty of reserves.
Yeah.
So really what you're battling with intuitively is those environmental things, emotional and physical environmental.
And I think because you touched on that, a good or something you need to have before you intuitively eat is like a good grasp on how you respond to things, like emotionally and mentally. Because if you're under stress and you immediately go for food, that's not we'll say a good response to a stressor.
Hmm.
Like, you can't be an intuitive eater if you automatically have those responses and you don't deal with stressful situations, in a better manner. Part of
Hmm.
it is realizing, what, like, I'm stressed. You have, ways to de-escalate yourself or move through it that aren't food related,
Hmm.
and being able to develop those can help because then you go do that and you're not eating. You don't need food in that
Yeah.
moment, and that's part of being intuitive is being in tune with your body as a whole and realizing that that's not what I actually need in this moment.
Hmm.
So, but you have to, again, you got to earn that, and that takes a lot of tracking. I mean, we see how many barriers people break down tracking and unpacking a lot of stuff and realizing, man, like, I overeat because of X, or something bad happened
Yep.
in my life, and anytime I think about it, I usually go for a
Yeah.
donut or whatever, and that's part of it too. So it's not just only environmental. Like, that's another factor as well that we have to work on.
And then kind of off of these factors, you're probably sitting there like, why is this so complicated and difficult? And it is. And one thing we've noticed, and again, this is why as we've evolved, I was just a personal trainer, and then we eventually had Coastal and just gyms, but the nutrition side of things has evolved and taken
Big time.
a bigger role because more and more we realize that people need accountability support. They need nutrition coaching,
Yeah.
nutrition coaches, because you'll have your blinders on and won't be able to see a lot of these things. And one thing we notice with people is everyone focused so much on what to eat, right? So, intuitive eating and eating good foods versus bad foods. Doing diets, Whole30 versus eating whatever that they don't notice like their patterns that they're creating,
Hmm.
which is typically like an all or nothing is the most common one we see. So all or nothing, good, bad foods. And yeah, they'll go, oh, I'm eating good for 4 days,
And then binge on.
and then binge for a day
Yeah.
or two, or it turns into a week,
Yeah.
and kind of out of sight, out of mind. But then think, I need to get back to the perfect diet,
Yeah.
to these perfect foods, but not seeing that because you're trying to have 100% perfection, that's literally what's causing the binges.
Yeah.
So you could argue that those perfect foods aren't
They're
so
not perfect
What if you
for you.
allowed a little wiggle room and then didn't have the binges.
Yeah.
Which then are what trip people up over the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a coach, they're able to look like you need to work on these issues and bring them to light.
And just not letting people avoid the things that they need to work on. You know, having the hard conversations is part of it, and telling people what they don't want to hear sometimes, but it's usually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's from a good spot. Like, we want people to succeed, and part of that is, you know, telling you what you maybe don't want to admit, or talking to you about it, or getting you to leading you to it, so that you can confront it and work through it and, you know, move on.
And what most people don't, you know, realize or give themselves credit for is, so if you are working to lose weight and approaching your nutrition, it is going to be hard. And ultimately, then when you're successful at it, and most of the people we meet with they have lost weight at some point. But when you lose weight, you're now burning fewer calories. So your metabolism adapts because you're smaller and you need less calories. Yeah. And then also, typically your appetite will increase, right? Because you're giving your body less, you're now smaller, and your body is used to being at a heavier weight. So it kind of counters that initially. It's your body's initial fear of, you know,
of wasting
away by increasing your appetite. So you have to, again, then be, quote, intuitively aware that these things are going to happen, so that you don't then just go, oh my body's telling me I need to eat more, so I'm going to listen to it and do it, when in actuality it's just an initial stage. And that's where having a coach can help support you through fighting that a little bit. And that is why, you know, the coach, the extra eyeballs, is almost essential, because even if you're aware, it's still hard to do.
Yeah, and there's just so many factors, you know, we've talked about this a million times, that are kind of working against you, and having someone to navigate all of that with you is really helpful. You know, like someone that's been through it, or has seen, you know, a myriad of situations where, you know, people have gone through. Like, we can navigate it a little bit better, and without emotion too. That's a big one. You know, having the outside eye that's not, you know, emotionally attached or mentally involved in, you know, your life in that way, can be really helpful.
So really, I think if we kind of circle back around,
circle the wagon,
put everything in a little box with a bow.
What color is the bow?
Lime green.
I knew you were going to say that.
So, coastal bow. The first thing is, I think, expectations. You know, and most people, the goal isn't just weight loss; it should be long-term weight loss.
Yes.
So it's, you know, expecting it and realizing that it's going to be harder than you want it to be, than you expect it to be. So then with that, you can say, okay, you almost need to take away labels per se, and not worry about like fad diets and intuitive eating and even like calories and macros, but just think of it as, I need to gather. The more information I have, the better, right? So you need to gather information to learn, and then it helps to have support or accountability from like a coach or a friend, to keep you going, have that extra set of eyeballs. So then with that data, you're able to learn and make decisions. And you know, one of the most common things we see is so many people are successful losing weight by just doing the quick fix effect of like, I'm gonna just eat salads, you know, or eat as little food as possible, so crash diet, and yet you lose weight.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out. If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late, so having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
But you're not learning anything.
Nope.
Like you
don't learn how you feel when you do X.
how to
and things
manage
like
different
that.
environments that are part of your life.
Yeah.
You might just avoid everything up front. Again, only eat, little food, lose a bunch of weight. But then when you're like, okay, I kind of have to get back to life, you gain it back. So then you start that yo-yo process. Whereas a coach is going to know, well, the goal is not to eat as little as possible.
No.
It's to eat as much as possible while still allowing you to lose an optimal amount of weight.
Yeah.
Which is really like 1% of your body weight a week. So for most people, obviously the smaller, leaner you are, the less that's going to be. But on average, like 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Yeah.
That's where you actually want to be. So, yeah, if you're just kind of like willy-nilly, just eating as little as possible, you don't actually know where you're at. You don't know how much you need to eat to lose weight. You don't know how many calories or portions of food you need, or what foods are helpful, which foods aren't. So that's why you want to gather that data. And then again, when we're looking at it, we can be biased, right?
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, well, man, I had 5 days that were really good, but then you're ignoring 2 or 3 off days. So a coach can kind of be there to say, hey, like, what happened to those 2 days?
Instead of you glossing over them, now you got to be like, damn, what did I,
and then
what did I do on those 2 days?
in hindsight, the further that goes, you forget about those and you just think, well, man, I've tried really hard, right? But you're just overlooking things.
Well, because if you think about over, I don't know, we'll say a month, you have 5 good days a week and 2, we'll say bad days, for lack of a better word. But so that's 20 good days and 8 days that were meh. Those 20 days are going to overshadow it, and you're going to feel like, damn, I've been killing it. I've been perfect. I've been doing a good job. Why am I not losing weight? And that snowballs over time. And it gets harder to face that. Maybe I'm messing up a little bit on the weekends.
Yeah.
The more you do it.
Or a common one is people want to classify good and bad foods. So then when they have a bad, quote unquote, bad food, they'll binge on it. But the reality is, why didn't you just have a portion of that food? You could just have a portion of that food on a normal day, work it in the context of your day's calories or portions, and lose weight and be just fine.
And not binge on the food ever, and you're
because you're not telling yourself you can't have it. But since you've classified as good and bad, people feel like, oh, I had this, even if I have one portion of quote unquote bad food on this Tuesday, well, everything's ruined.
Yeah, everything
right?
goes out the window.
And,
Then there's that guilt that like, oh, I had bad food. I did bad.
and it turns into
Whereas
a
like
bad day or a
if you
bad
had
week.
like, I don't know, we'll say a bowl of cereal, you're good. Like you're gonna be fine. Like a bowl of cereal is not that many calories in the grand scheme. 4 bowls of cereal, on the other hand,
Well,
or more.
and here's the problem too when you do say this, like, what's a bowl?
Exactly.
Right? So someone could be pouring a huge 5-quart bowl of cereal versus someone else with a 1-cup bowl.
The old one
So
glass
even
of wine trick.
saying that, you could say, I don't know what's wrong. All I had was a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
Well, did you measure it?
And you had 5 servings in a bowl.
And again, you don't have to measure it forever, but after you measure it for a few months, you're going to start to see what a appropriate portion looks like that fits into your calorie needs to lose weight.
Yep.
Ooh, so see how you connect the dots? Of
Perfect.
if you're just super fringe and super intuitive, I had a bowl of cereal, but well,
How big was your bowl?
How big was your bowl? What portion do you even need in the context to get you to lose weight? But if you're not weighing yourself and you're not measuring your food, you're just not going to know any.
You're
of
just
these
winging
things.
it at this point.
Whereas
And hoping that this works.
yeah, but if you learn these things, then you can include them, and then all of a sudden everything doesn't feel so overwhelming. You can, you don't have to like label stuff as good and bad. You can just make it all work. But it does take it is work, and it's the process, and yeah, you have to
takes
learn.
time.
Perfect example we probably shared before. Maybe I've just told you. And another story was I remember dog sitting. I had a client that I dog sat for back in the day, and they had this very overweight dog, and they would. And I was like, man, this dog is big. And they would say, yeah, I don't know, like we feed him what the label says for what he's supposed to be for a dog his size. And then I remember the first time I went to dog sit at their house, like the dog food said to feed him 1 cup twice a day, 1 cup of dog food, meaning 8-ounce
A measured cup.
a measured cup, because the stuff is calories, right? And
Yeah.
if your dog's supposed to be 30 pounds and you're feeding it triple the amount it needs, it's going to gain weight, right? Well, what they did, because out of love, they had a big, like 7-Eleven, like 40-ounce cup in the dog container of food. And then that's what they would scoop out and feed them. So in their mind, yeah, they were giving them a
1 cup
of dog food for breakfast and dinner, but the reality is 8, 16, 24.
Bro,
I
that's
mean,
like
5x, right?
5 servings.
So, and
10 a day.
At one, so that's 10. So they were probably supposed to be getting, 16 ounces of dog food a day, and they were getting 80.
Yeah, you're gonna be obese.
Yeah,
Like,
and so
that matters.
that matters, and that's ultimately kind of what we do as people, right?
Yeah. Everyone should just weigh everything by the gram. Like,
I mean,
drug dealers.
That's
what I do.
one reason too I'm big on this is I've done it. I've seen it. So
Yeah.
I went through a phase, of weighing and tracking, and I don't even have to anymore. Dude, I can almost be spot on, but I still do it because it's just easy. It's just habit.
No, it's really easy.
Right? But I know stuff. You just learn these things. So I could see and eyeball my portions. Like this week, I was at Outer Banks, and so I didn't have my scale and these things. But I essentially just eyeballed my portions of food that we made. And when we went out to eat, you don't need to tell your stuff. Listen to your internal cues, and everything was fine and normal. I doing a phase to lose a little weight, and I did. But the reason I can do that now is because I've learned
Well, you've tracked so many
and tracked
times and all that.
before.
Yeah.
So
Do you ever try to measure something out and you get it first go?
Oh,
That's my favorite.
It's like a
dude.
game.
Oh
now.
my god.
And I can do it. It's funny. It shows how good our brains are.
Mhm.
Like you can normally tell from feel,
Yeah.
right? So for example, right now for a while, so since I've been doing this cutting phase, I have right now. So to keep it real easy, I almost eat the same stuff every day, and then I keep my protein and fats the same,
And then
over time I just adjust my carbs. So then when I stall out and I need to lower calories, I slightly lower my carbs, and starting them as high as possible from the beginning. So now I'm at the point where I have 350 grams, that's measured grams of rice a day, which works out to about like 280 grams of carbs. But anyways, so it's fun for me to I make it all in a rice pot in the morning in a rice cooker,
Mhm.
and then just keep it. But I like to see how close I can get to the gram of pouring the
It's
rice
the best.
into the container.
Yeah.
And I'm never more than 5 grams off, and you know I can nail it a lot of times.
I do that. Like, usually I'll measure out Whitney's chicken for whatever we're making. Dude, I can just, like, we'll do shredded chicken, so it'll be in, like, a Tupperware or something. Dude, first go, I'll just get, like, a big old clump of it, pop it down. Dude, to the gram. It's my favorite. It, like, makes me feel so
It
good
is-
on the inside.
It's funny you say it because now I realize how much it is a daily game of. So I got to do it when I'm cooking the rice.
Yeah.
Then when I go to portion, and then I know cooked it makes about say 30 ounces cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I weigh out, so I divide it into 3 meals. So I have about 10 ounces.
10 ounces a meal.
So then I like to, when I'm taking it out of the rice cooker and put it on my bowl.
Try to get that 10 ouncer.
And again, it doesn't even matter because there's my day's worth of rice.
Yeah,
I
so no matter how
I
you eat it.
But it's fun to like, oh, I'm going to try to get 10 ounces
Yeah.
by feel from the scoop into my bowl.
It's the best.
And it's, you know, almost
Why is
always
that so satisfying?
spot on.
It really is. I do it with my yogurt too.
Mhm.
Try to get like as big of a scoop as possible and then just nail it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna do it when I get
Same
home.
thing in the
I can't wait.
in the morning. I have ground beef, 8 ounces of ground beef.
Mm-hmm.
So I put the pan on the scale, zero it out. You know, and then I take the raw beef, put it on the pan to cook. But so I like to see if I can grab
Just 8 ounces.
just 8 ounces of the ground beef and get it on one go. You know, into the
It's the
pan.
best, man. People are gonna think we're nuts.
Hey, this is gonna make them sound even more nuts. To be more exact, I'll take it down. I'll do grams instead of ounces. So 227 grams is
8 ounces.
8 ounces.
Damn,
So
son. You're really taking it down. I usually stay ounces, but now maybe I should go to grams.
you gotta
for
go
that.
next level, man. You're playing t-ball. You gotta go to the big leagues.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Oh
do it.
man. Mm-mm-mm.
This is what we get excited for, in case anybody's wondering.
So
Nail it. And you know what though? Try it. Everyone's gonna start doing it. They're like, damn,
I
this
know.
is fun.
and then all of a sudden, getting shredded's a
It's a game. It's easy.
Oh man, it's funny where you end up. But here we
Yeah.
are.
Having fun weighing
Yeah.
things.
See, look at this. Intuitive eating, you wouldn't get to do any of this.
Yeah.
And here's my issue. How do you know how much food to buy?
Yeah.
Like, if the people just have unlimited food budgets, like you're just gonna eat willy-nilly, and then what? Are you gonna run out of food like 3 days into your week, and then you just go buy more?
Yeah.
Like, that's my
I
thing.
know exactly. Dude. I mark because we do eat a little bit different week to week depending on like my schedule. But like, dude, I write down like exactly how much of each meat we need to buy
Mm-hmm.
so that we're not
Yeah,
you know,
going over
or
yeah.
under. Like, I don't want to have to go to the store again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to, but I try not to.
Mhm.
I don't know how people do that. Like, I need to know how much of this do I need.
And there's ways to do it, like we're sitting here talking about way into the gram. You do not have to do that.
No.
What
This
I
is
used
us being lunatics.
What I used to do for the longest time with meat, meat's easy, right? So if you know I'm gonna have 8 ounce portions, about 50 grams of protein per 8 ounces of meat. Yeah, you buy meat. It tells you the weight already on
it's
it.
usually
right?
in like 1 pound.
So if you get a
things,
pack,
too.
yeah, if you get a 1 pound pack of ground beef, you know, okay, about half that pack is 8 ounces.
Yeah.
So say you even just cooked up that whole pound at once, you got 2 meals worth right there. So then you just kind of eyeball it, split it in half,
Yeah.
eat one, put one in a container.
And it'll average out 2 days of eating that is
Yeah.
going to be a pound no matter what you do.
So you never even have to weigh it, right?
Yeah.
And then I would
that was one of my favorite ways to do it.
yeah, and then that's how I would do the meat. And then for starches, I would basically just cook them all up and then use a measuring cup to serve it, right? But then you're also kind of measuring it. So 1 cup of
Rice.
rice would be, you know, about 1 serving, about 50 grams.
Mhm.
So yeah, just measuring cup, take the rice out, boom, plop it on the plate.
Yep.
So you don't even have to use a scale.
No.
I've actually found using the scale though helps because you end up with less dishes, right?
Dude.
Because you don't have
Yes.
to use all these serving utensils, all these bowls. You literally can just put whatever you're getting on the scale, zero it out, and then take it out onto your
Dude,
plate.
it's my favorite way. Whitney's been baking like that. Like when she realized, like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, when you can just weigh everything and not use measuring spoons at all.
Mhm. Oh, it's
Oh my
game changer.
god, it's my favorite. And sometimes like we'll make our like we'll say fun food. You know, we'll do like a more in-depth recipe, but being able to just weigh everything by the gram,
Yeah.
dude, there's no cleanup. You have
Yep.
1 bowl and that's it.
Yep.
Oh god, I love it. So if you already don't do that, start doing it because it's gonna change your life.
Mm-hmm,
That's all. public service announcement.
And then even, like we said, you don't have to do this stuff forever. You'll eventually
No.
learn. You'll be able to eyeball, but you may find you like it, right?
Yeah, like I honestly like it. It makes my life easy. I don't have to think about it. So I'm cool with it. But when, like Gary was in the Outer Banks, when we get to situations like that, like how to navigate, how much you really need to eat because you've been serving it up for so long that like we have a pretty good idea of what 8 ounces looks like.
You know what though? Part of me was sad. Like we had a little air fryer down there, and I was cooking up some chicken. So I was just eyeballing my 8-ounce portion of chicken breast because they were all in Ziploc bag, so they weren't already packed. Like I just said, I didn't know. Oh, I bought 5 pounds. It was just a random amount in a Ziploc bag, but I kind of know by feel, the 8 ounces that I'm putting into the air fryer. But I wanted to know. Like I knew I was close enough to be effective.
But you needed to know.
But I was like, man, I wish I knew how close I was.
You missed out.
But so yeah, intuitive eating.
It's advanced.
It's advanced. You got to put in the time with, again, whether you're weighing food or just tracking it through portions. You can also use your hand. Palm-sized serving of protein is typically about 6 to 8 ounces. A fist-sized serving of starch is like a cup. So there's different ways, but at some form you need to track, right?
You have
to. Hand portion, measuring cup portion, weighing scale, something. You have to earn that right for intuitive eating in today's current environment.
Yeah.
Now, if you find yourself back in the woods and farming and stuff, and just having enough food is the issue, then
you'll probably be all right.
You'll be good.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You'll know, right? You'll be able to see your body. Like I'm losing a ton of weight. I'm starving, and I haven't eaten in 3 days. So when you do find food, you're going to eat it as much as you need to.
Exactly.
But in this environment of abundance,
it's hard.
You got to measure something, right? Same, like we talked about, how do you even know how much to eat? Same thing. It's just like finances, right? If you want to save money, if you find yourself going in debt every month and using credit cards,
you have to track your spending.
You need to track your spending. Or you could just be like, I'm never going to spend, but then how do you get what you need?
Exactly.
Right? Same thing with eating.
That's like going on a crash diet.
I'm just going to eat as little as possible, but then how do you you still need certain food and certain nutrients to thrive.
Yeah.
So that's
you have to be able to look.
Yeah. And budget, yeah.
You have
budget
to.
your food. Intuitive spending.
Ooh, it's all the same, right?
That don't work.
Like when you're hungry, it's like when you want to spend money.
Mm-hmm.
Still the same. Sometimes you don't need to, and sometimes it's for entertainment.
Yeah. And then ultimately realize that, hey, accept that this is hard. Then accept that if you need a coach, support, accountability, that is the norm.
Yeah, like you're not a failure. Like
most people
are up against a lot.
Most people do. So really, by trying to do it without one, you're,
doing yourself a disservice.
Unless you're just that person who's gonna really love it, finds it easy. Outside of that, most people need that support and accountability of a coach. Again, because of habits we've been doing since we were 5 years old,
and a lot of stuff maybe we can't see ourselves. You need an outside eye to help you, realize maybe things you're doing you don't realize.
So there it is. Why intuitive eating is not
easy.
Easy, and it's definitely not where most people should start.
Nah.
And trust me, I as a coach, man, I wish. Do you know how many times I just told people, I gave them a food list, or a meal plan. Just eat these foods. Man, if you just eat these whole foods, all your problems are solved. True, but that's ignoring the reality.
Everything.
Yeah, the reality of people's food environments and habits and skills that they've developed. So as much as I've resisted as a younger coach, tracking calories and stuff, it's you just need to. It's needed at some point. So again, some people, a rare minority, can just go full Spartan mode and only eat
and are going to be okay.
Keep everything else out of their house and out of their work environments, but
most people aren't that.
Yeah, and most of the time you'll end up there because as you start to eat those things, you have more energy, you lose weight, it is easier. That's kind of almost where I am now, but I didn't start there.
Nope.
I started with, I want to, in my mind, I need to still be able to have pizza every day, so I'm going to look for these little recipes that kind of taste like pizza, and then it ends up being a disappointment.
Oh, those are the worst.
Then you end up binging on pizza, and you yo-yo back and forth, and good and bad, and then eventually, 8 years later, you learn to just have a slice of pizza.
Yep.
Within when you want it, within the day, make it fit your goals. But again, you're able to do that because whether your goal is to maintain your weight or lose your weight or gain weight, you know kind of what those numbers are that you need to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what the numbers are of the pizza or the foods you want to include. So then you can make it all work. But again, it only does because you know these things, which is the complete opposite of straight up,
intuitive eating.
This is gonna be a good one.
I think it will be.
Good one. Help prevent people from going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And we're not saying it's bad. You just have to work your way there.
Yep.
Just put in the work.
Yeah. And ending up there is a great place to end up.
Yeah.
But again, the key is, look, a lot of people are in intuitive eating and they're not where they want to be.
Yeah. Don't run before you walk. It's
So,
really
we're saying
the message
like
today.
Well, let's look at what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably not where most people want to be, so let's earn the right to do it successfully. Which takes work, which is like anything. Why should it be easy?
Yeah.
Because even before, when we didn't have to worry about it, guess what was hard? Obtaining food.
Yeah. So now we're in the opposite place where we're fighting against all that.
So it's like, it would be so much easier if I lived 300 years ago. Would it?
You say that until you got to fight for food every day.
Yeah. Dude, we were watching Before the 90 Days.
Oh, God.
And there's this dude. Some people you just want to reach in there.
And just shake them?
So he's American. She's
Okay.
Colombian. She's like a model, fitness model or something. And then her dad, like a farmer. Like that's his living, lives on a farm. And this dude is very metrosexual. So he's very wealthy. And what he does is he makes like guns that like I guess novelty, right? So that you take a gun and make the handle look pretty and stuff, right? So that's what he does. And he drives, Ferraris and stuff. And to each their own. I have my quirks, but I mean, just to paint the scene, he puts like these things on under his eyes every day, like they're like, I guess to take away your bags, So I mean, he's in it, in it, right? And he dresses, he wears like the what are the stuff that everyone kind of the guys with Ed Hardy type looking,
Oh yeah,
okay, So and then I mean, she's a girly girl too, but like I said, she's especially there. Family's really big, and she's like, my dad's a farmer. You're gonna have to prove, for his acceptance, like that you can do the farm work. It's just, that's just where things are at. And, dude, he goes and they're like, they have cows and stuff, and it just wasn't, dude. It was so hilarious. But he's the type too, and then she's also into fitness, right? So she wants to go on this hike, and he's complaining the whole time, and
not gonna work.
That it's hot, and just then she's Colombian and very wears her emotions on her sleeves and just says what she's thinking. Oh, so good. I forget what I was even tying this to.
I don't even know.
But
I'm glad you told me about it.
There was a purpose. Now I have no clue. But let's think here.
We're talking about intuitive eating. I don't know how this ties back at all, but
or maybe finding the right match or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
I can't. Like that's probably a deal breaker.
Yeah.
I don't know about that show though. Sometimes people look past like every red flag and they're like, "Oh my god, I love them," but we have nothing in common. Are you sure? That sounds like they're just like a snack you don't need to eat.
Mm-hmm. Just stick to your meals.
Yeah, just stick to your meals, man. Stick to your beef and rice.
No side snack.
Nah, man.
No Colombian Cupid. Oh man. Well, go check that out. I'm telling you, I might like the Before 90 Days better.
I'm not sure I'm emotionally ready to watch it.
Because
the cringe is sometimes too much for me. It makes me want to crawl like into a hole and just disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Just the embarrassment for the other people.
You just want to reach in the TV and fix things?
Yeah, I'm like, why? I could help you so much if you just, probably couldn't help them.
Oh, bro. They went out to eat like on one of their first dates, and he gets his nails done, but also not just a manicure. Like you could tell they were like painted like clear, glossy.
Mm-hmm.
And this was what she was telling him about the farm, and he was like, "I'm kind of a manicure type of guy, not dirt under your nails type of guy." And then she called. I won't say it on here, but like It was funny. I was like, usually, like,
I mean, treat yourself, but damn,
he should have known.
that clear coat.
You got to go get a farming girl. But sometimes love perseveres, man.
Does it though? Not on that show, man. No way.
Hey, and you know what? Your love with intuitive eating might persevere.
It might.
But-
It might if you work at it.
But first, you need to do the farm work.
That was bad.
Oh man.
All
right.
Before we make any
We'll
more
wrap
bad
it up.
jokes, let's get out of
We'll
here.
leave it at that.
Oh man. All right. See
Holla.
you next time. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.